Hello, everyone, and welcome to the 29th Sedona International Film Festival. I'm your host, Carol Kahn. We are coming to you live from Yavapai College, which is one of our sponsors, as well as Northern Arizona Healthcare, the City of Sedona, and Linden and Goldenstein Gallery. So we'd like to thank our sponsors. And joining me now is Vin Liota with the film Objects. And I wanted to talk to you about that because the film indicates that there's two kinds of people. So can you tell me who those people are?
Yeah, it seems that there are people who find an emotional connection to objects that are in their life, and by the kind of objects we're talking about in the film are not collectibles. They're idiosyncratic things that people have come upon at important moments in their life. And for certain people, something that might seem like something most people would throw away is very significant because it reminds them of an important event in their life or person that they love or loved. And then the other people are the ones that just don't see it that way, that these are things are junk and they need to be thrown away, and that you can't store memories and things. Just can't do it.
Well, you know, the characters that you have in there, they're real life characters, right?
Sure.
So they're basically, so you have someone who was worked for a network TV?
Network television and NPR radio.
Right. And then you had a woman who is a writer.
A novelist,
Yes.
Heidi Julovitz.
And then...
And a graphic designer.
Right, okay.
Rick
So
Rollins, yeah.
the items that they had were completely unique. So talk to me about
Unexpected.
that. Yes.
So they I guess they're sort of on they range from being things you might understand, like collecting sweaters, to things that you would never expect, like a clump of grass that's 50 years old, right? But they all have great stories behind them, which makes for, fun filmmaking and storytelling.
Yes. So the grass actually cracked me up. It was in Central Park that he grabbed the grass because he was on a date with someone.
He was on a date, this girl that he really liked, and they had this magic moment, and he wanted to get a souvenir from the moment, and he reached around, they were sitting on the grass, he just grabbed a clump of grass and put it in his pocket, and he still has it. This happened when he was 15, and he's now in his 70s.
Oh my gosh.
So,
I know. So we do have a
60.
clip of the film that we want to show.
Yeah.
And so I can't wait to see what the clip's all about. Although I know what it's about.
Your things.
Things. I'm gonna talk about stuff.
Clinging to objects.
Objects.
Oh no.
Letting go of objects can make you feel guilty.
Objects are a record to me of a moment of joy or a moment of connection with something.
I am the sort of person that holds on to objects for decades.
It is the object that you put in your pocket, put in a drawer somewhere, which recalls a specific moment you shared with somebody that you loved.
Objects represent the past.
The memories attached to our stuff put us right back in a really happy place.
Otherwise, I'll just be lost to time.
Why do certain people attach such intense meaning for objects?
Rosebud.
And why do others not?
We have gotten to the place where we think things matter. And they don't.
Beni materiali.
Material goods cannot fill the emptiness of lives which have no purpose.
Colmare un vuoto esistenziale nel suo cuore.
Well, not with me.
I guess I am more of a spiritual materialist.
They're not things that I want. They're things that touch me secretly.
I think it's the thing plus the circumstances of finding it.
And suddenly it takes on extraordinary meaning. So what your heart gathers is what you keep, but what your heart chooses to gather, I don't know.
That's awesome. So what kind of person are you?
I am a collector. I don't have a lot of things, although my wife might disagree with that. She's not a collector.
Well, that's just like the other character in the film.
It's
She
interesting.
wasn't- yes.
People seem to pair up like that.
Yeah.
I guess opposites attract.
So what do you collect?
Well, I don't actively collect things. Things sort of come to me. So, actually, one of the more important things that came to me recently was my mom passed away recently, and it was a battle with cancer. And one of her last meals was this curly kind of pasta that she loved, and I made it for her as her last meal. And after she passed away, I was cleaning out her apartment, and there on the floor was a piece of uncooked pasta that had fallen out, I guess, before I put it in the pot. And, I'm throwing things away, and I pick this up, and it's like, I can't possibly throw this away. This is a very valuable object. This is precious, and I still have it to this day.
Was this before or after the film?
This was after the film.
So after the film. So.
And I think, did the film influence things like that? Maybe it helped me understand myself better, but I was doing that before I made the film as well.
So how did the film even come about? Was there a study that was actually being done and then you filmed it? Is that how that happened, or was it just something that you created and thought about it?
Yeah, it's interesting that there wasn't a study because most of my career made films about science and had scientists in them, and they were based on studies. But this was something that came out of a conversation I was having with one of the people who appears in the film. We were talking about how we each have these little weird things that mean a lot to us. And we started to question out loud, well, is everybody like that? And we realized, well, neither of our wives seem to be like that. In fact, they're very much the opposite. So what is it about people that collect? And that was what started, that was the seed that started the idea for the film. And it took about 8 years to make the film. And in doing it, I sort of learned by talking to people and finding their emotional motivations rather than talking to psychologists or neuroscientists on why certain people do it and why others don't. It was really about people's personal narratives and this meaning that they had formed with the things. So that's, it was just from personal observation. I guess it would be a long way around answer.
Yeah, you made me question, things that I do. So, for example, I do have letters that my grandmother had written to me in Italian. I have saved those. And I save every single article that I've written, for a newspaper. And so I have, this archive of stuff that I have done, in addition to, collecting art books.
Right.
I'm this collection. I'm not a hoarder, but I have a collection. And I have things that mean something, right? Because they have meaning behind it. But I think what your film was bringing out as well is that it's almost like a historic documentation of one's life. And in some of these cases, the grass and stuff, that was his personal things. And I guess, for me, and I started thinking about it, and I'm like, who really cares? After I go, my daughter definitely
Your
will not
poor daughter,
yeah. she won't be saving, any of this stuff. And so my daughter's completely opposite than me. I'm very sentimental, and I keep, things, and I think things mean stuff to her, but she doesn't, you won't see her drawer the lady in the film.
Right. And that lady in the film, Heidi, does talk about how, a number of the characters talk about, what will happen to these things when they go, when they pass away? All of these things will just lose meaning.
Right.
And she knows her daughter, sounds like your daughter, doesn't want or doesn't care about these particular things. So what do you do with it? It's not fair to just leave all this stuff, which will turn into junk as soon as you're gone. So what do you do? And, I don't want to give away any spoilers, but that's an interesting question. And it also starts to, cut to the heart of why people collect and how they, are these things that sort of reach back in time. And actually, a question for you: when you say you save the articles that you've written, are these cut out of a newspaper?
So right now, they're piled. Right now, they're all piled, and they're not cut out yet.
But they're the newspapers.
Yes, the newspaper. So it's archived in history anyway.
Right. Well, it is. Because like some of the people say, this is the actual day. So this is the day your story appeared. Like you open this up, and it's like, that's my story. And oh, on this day, look what was happening in the world. Like this, it gives context.
Yes.
And it's sort of like, it's the opposite of a to-do list. It's a have-done list. And it's like the diary you never kept. It's like, I did this on this day, and I did this, and oh, look at this, I did this on this day, and look what else happened. So it keeps a record of your life.
And I used to have a journal, but I like tore all this up. I'm like, I don't want anybody to find those. So those are gone.
Yeah, that's funny because I actually wrote a novel as we were filming. She was writing a novel based on her diaries. She found a trove of her diaries, and she thought, this is going to be fantastic. I'm a writer. Here's the young writer. I'm gonna go and use this as the fodder for my novel. And she realized, to her horror, that like it had all the narrative thrill of like an actuarial tax table. It was just like, today I woke up and I did this. Today I did this. And so she actually later in the film talks about how her diary of her life is her desk drawer.
Yeah.
Where she keeps her stuff.
But I also thought it was funny when she was trying to find Marie Kondo's book.
Where is Marie Kondo?
And interesting, during Christmas and New Year's, I was like watching Marie Kondo back to back on Netflix.
Yeah. Well, I understand that she's changed her tune, that she no longer is advising that people need to tidy, because her whole thing is tidying your house, and her method of tidying your house is a sort of this spiritual awakening and a way to get in touch with your family and yourself and to bring joy into your life. Apparently, after she had her third kid, she had to sort of choose, like, how much do I want the spiritual awakening and how much do I want to spend time with my kids and my family? And she actually said that she's decided that it's more important to spend time with her kids than tidy her house, which does not come as a big surprise to many people. But I'm glad she made that choice.
Yes. And didn't you work for Nova? Did you?
I did. The science show, yeah.
Yeah. So tell me, how is that different working on a science show like that and doing this type of film?
Yeah, I guess the biggest difference is when you do a science show, you have to have the voices of science. And so that means that the only explanation that's acceptable for something is going to come from a scientist. And which is great when you're talking about quantum theory or general relativity or new discoveries, but this was really, it felt like that would just depersonalize it. And so I made the decision not to do it in that way. So it's very different. It doesn't have that treatment of many voices of experts, unless you consider these are emotional experts of their own life, I guess.
Well, yeah, now you made me question, because after the film festival, I'm going to go home. I'm going to figure out what I need to sort through and what I need to hold on to and say, oh, I feel good about this.
Yeah, from doing the film, it hasn't just motivated me to keep things. It's also motivated me to get rid of things that I realized, well, this really doesn't have any personal meaning. Why am I keeping it? So that's both ways.
And that's Marie Kondo.
Yes, it's seeping in, yeah.
Well, tell us, how can people find out about your film?
Well, hopefully it will be distributed on streaming platforms soon. And the way that works nowadays is you have to look for it. But the name of the film is Objects. You have to do a search, but that's easy enough, one word.
And you have a website?
We do have a website, objectsfilm.com, and we'll keep you updated on screenings and when it does become available.
And when is your film being shown here in Sedona?
We had our first screening this morning.
Nice.
Which was wonderful. And then we have another screening on Wednesday afternoon.
Okay, awesome.
So, yeah, if folks are around and can come out, it would be lovely to have you out. It's great to have a live audience in a film. It's something that's become really rare these days, and so feels so lucky that we've been chosen for the festival.
Yeah, well, we're so glad to have you here. So thank you for
Thank you.
Entering your film and coming to the film festival. You taught me something about it, that I'm not crazy about collecting things and holding on to things.
right.
Who knows? I mean, I even have a little vase that I had from my Sweet 16. Like, I'm like, what do I need this for? So I might have to get rid of that. Well, Vin, thank you so much
Thank
for
you,
being
Carol.
with us.
I appreciate
And
it.
please follow us with hashtag Sedona Film Fest 23 and hashtag SIFF, SIFF 23. And we'll be back with more from the Sedona International Film Festival after this.